We did have a few people RSVP for today, so hopefully we'll get a couple more people in here. We're still trying to figure out the whole mastermind thing. Um, but nice to chat with you. If you're watching this on playback, wondering what the heck is this club is all about. My name's Brandon. Somewhere around here is Claire, Dr. J, and Jeannie, not in a bottle tonight. Um, and this is the AI Life Hacks Club, where we hack life using AI. So we're heading into summer, and I've started the hack of the week, and it is fun. It is almost meta using AI to try to come up with ways to hack summer using AI. And it really comes down for me to how you feed your prompt hole, as Kyle says. Because I've asked it initially for the hack of the week. I've asked it to give me some hacks that are, summer hacks, and it keeps coming up with the same okay ones. It's like, oh, you could make a travel planner, and you could, you know, set up a scavenger hunt, and I'm like, okay, these are good, but I could do that without AI. Like, this is show me, dig deep, and and I give an example of, like, you could clean the rust off of something with Diet Coke, and it picked up on the assignment immediately, which I think is true. At least the internet tells me that's true. Um, and so it understood the assignment does is, oh, you want like what AI can do that. And so the one that it came up with tonight is take a picture of your garden and ask it where the weak points are for squirrels. And then how do you safely and humanely discourage the squirrels from eating your vegetables or raiding your garden? Hi, Gwen.
Hey, uh,
Um, just talking hacking per usual. Um, but I
we're
was saying, go ahead.
sorry. I'm in the car with Dad, so I'm going to stay off for the moment. And as soon as we get home, we'll go back on camera.
Yeah, that sounds good. Safety
Okay.
first.
Yes. Hi, Dad.
Um,
Hi, Dad.
there's there are, by the way, there are like half the country is now like a no touch law. I don't know if you've heard about this.
Mm-mm.
So Ohio is one of them. I don't know the others. But it's kind of flying under the radar where it is illegal to touch your cell phone while you're driving now. Not even at a red light. Like, you can't like touch the dial, look at a map. It's no touch. It is a primary offense. They can pull you over and issue you a ticket. Will they? Probably not. But could they? Yeah. So it is now falling under that same category of you must wear your seatbelt as a primary offense. So be safe, Gwen. But we are just talking about use your Bluetooth. We're just talking about how we would have to feed the prompts differently to get different results. So I had asked ChatGPT, what are some summer hacks? And it was giving me like, oh, you can make an itinerary for your summer, and here's some fun things you could do, like a scavenger hunt. And like, you could do those things without AI. Like, dig deep, like really wow me. And the first one it came back with after I asked it that was, I take a picture of your garden and ask where the weak points are for squirrel or deer or whatever is attacking your garden, and say, how do I humanely get rid of them and discourage them from eating everything? And it said, like, coffee grounds are a natural deterrent. They don't like the scent of coffee grounds. So you can sprinkle little coffee grounds around and keep squirrels away, but it'll not only tell you that you need coffee grounds, but using vision and understanding its understanding of the physical world, it could then tell you where to put those coffee grounds, opposed to just coffee grounds. So that's probably going to be next week's hack of the week. But that's the type of stuff that I love. And Lori is always coming up with new and creative ones that if you follow Lori Ignites on TikTok, she's always coming up with creative hacks to use AI around the house. She's like this old house, but with AI. Because she's always coming up with new and creative ones. So that being said, I'd love to get your feedback or thoughts on either, to Jeannie's point, bringing a problem, like let's have a hackathon, and how do we hack our way to a solution this summer and solve a problem for you, or share what problem you've recently hacked your way through using AI, or how has AI helped you hack summer. If you have any thoughts on that, I would love to hear.
I'll go.
I was going to say stunned silence is always an acceptable answer, but go for it, Jeannie.
That's when I jump in. I did have a garden hack. I'm in Maine and we get a lot of ticks. We do have deer out in the back 40. Oh, no, it's an acre. And I was getting a lot of ticks coming in the house with the dogs. And of course, when the ticks get on the dogs, you can handle that. But I wanted to stop the ticks out at the source, which is on the other side of the garden. So I asked ChatGPT what I should do. And it said ticks don't like spearmint and lavender. And so I planted some of those plants. And then 2 weeks later, I still had ticks. And it went on to say, and I should have prompted it better, that they also don't like cedar mulch. And so I put down a whole bunch of cedar mulch on the other side of the garden to try to stop the ticks from coming in from the field. And it worked.
That's awesome.
That's great. So you have successfully hacked with AI. And there's a certain, I was thinking about this ahead of the call today, is there's a certain mentality of folks that Claire, you'll know this expression. There are some people that watch things happen. There are some people who make things happen, and there's some people who say, "What happened?" And did I break up? I just saw that my connection blipped momentarily.
No.
But I think it is a certain mindset, and we talk about this a lot in the AI salon, of there's so much creative potential, and why isn't everybody out just vibe coding websites and books and everything? Because it takes a certain mindset that you have to get yourself into to even think and release yourself from that negative thoughts patterns that, like, I'm not a hacker, I'm not an AI, I'm not an author, I'm not an artist, I'm not a programmer. And I love that, like, my childhood innocence is coming back out. I'm like, I'm everything. Case in point, my 4-year-old just walked by right before we went live tonight and said, "Dad, when I grow up, I want to be a mail truck." I said, "Okay, you live that dream." I think he meant mail carrier, but who am I to stand in the way? If he wants to be part cyborg. But at some point we lose that creative spark, and I love that courses like Danny's course in the Creative Edge, and what we see, even what we saw. I don't know if you guys were on. I know, Claire, you were on the Learning Lab last night, where we took a hard left turn into the wild and crazy, and made Kyle the appliance king of Denver just on a whim. He started talking about bread makers. I don't know why, but suddenly he had a video and a jingle, and everything was, it all got posted in the Irregulars channel. And that's just the silly stuff that you can do now that wasn't capable. Like, what started out as a one-off comment from Kelly Camp, Source Camp, who said, you're the appliance king of Denver." That would have been a 5-second joke that turned into an hour-and-a-half long running gag last night because of AI. And so, I love that this technology enables us to do things like that. And also, it's like also occasionally helpful.
Exactly.
Claire, what about you? What have you been hacking lately with AI? Anything in your world that's been hacked?
I was trying to think like what are the kinds of things that I tend to gravitate towards AI to help with, and it's almost always ChatGPT. In fact, I find it kind of odd, but to say, but like Grok and Gemini, like they're ones I don't even know like what they look like. I've done Claude and I've used ChatGPT, and that's pretty much. I mean, like some of the others that are slightly different, but those are the two main ones. Um, so maybe I need to branch out a little bit. I'll ask ChatGPT if that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Um, I
You
ask
know,
it. Yeah.
go ahead. No, go for it.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, I ask it questions about medical stuff, recognizing all the caveats up front may or may not be accurate, and I tell it, I'm not, holding you to this, but what is it that you think you can tell me about X, Y, or Z? And it's been extremely helpful.
Yeah.
Extremely
No,
helpful.
that's good. I love that. And I was thinking about how WebMD is, effectively, done unless they bake in some AI. Like, there's no reason to go to WebMD ever again, because you can get so much more sophisticated answers now that are more accurate, and more helpful. Um, I've also come to realize that um, we are in a privileged position of the curse of knowledge because we're so close to AI that we forget that the average person doesn't really understand the full capabilities. I saw this with my brother-in-law. He works for Honda, and he was entering into a competition of sales reps, and he needed to write down a script. And he said, "Hey, you do that chat GPT thing, right?" I said, "Yes, I do." And so he gave me the parameters in his script, and I put it in, generated a couple different variations of the script, and sent it back to him like 6 minutes later. And he called me like an hour later, and he's like, "Hey, do you think you'll get a chance to look at that sometime in the next 2 to 3 hours?" I'm like, "Check your email. I responded 54 minutes ago. You did that and that." And he's like, "This is amazing. How did you do this?" And it's like, it just reinforces that, we have access to like these amazing tools, but most everybody's still kind of in the dark. Like, students know how to cheat with their homework on it. And there's a small cohort of, 3,000 people in the AI salon that know what to do with it. But the average person, and Gwen, your dad is probably in the minority. Like, he's very into AI, and he's staying on the cutting edge of this. Um, you know, it's just a nice reminder that, like, the advocacy and education that we put out there in the world through the AI salon and just through talking about it is important in and of itself to help open other people's minds.
Wait, wait.
I sorry, I'm driving. As you know,
Yeah,
Dad's holding the phone and he's doing the speakerphone, so I hope you can hear me okay.
I can.
And okay, great. So what I want to say is a couple of things. The first is agree 100%. What I'm finding is the most effective way of getting people to use or try ChatGPT isn't as much in large group settings as much as it is in very small or one-on-one settings. For example, I recently, and forgive me if I'm repeating myself and you've already heard this, but I recently met with someone from AARP, and they have so many like orientation notebooks and programs and stuff they're working with, and it's very confusing, and there's a lot of it, and they just throw it at you. They don't do anything more than that. So I took the guy aside and I said, listen, you really have to use Notebook LM. And he kept putting me off. And then we had a one-on-one meeting. We did it in 2 minutes, and he was blown away, and now he's an advocate, right? So that, and then the seniors at a local community center went in and gave them just a really brief high level, and they're like, when are you coming back? Before I even left the room. So I do think that it's a lot of, we have to do it that way. Kyle's great, and I love that he does the everyday, but I think for me personally, I know that I do best when it's a smaller group and we can actually work on a project together, because I get very frustrated when things don't work out and I'm not sure which way to go. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's one reason why I really like this life hacks, because I feel like, okay, now I can bring the problem in and let's chat it out or see what ideas people are using, things like that.
Yeah, no, that's great, and thank you so much for sharing. And yeah, you're right. I think the small group settings. I mean, Kelly Camp personifies that all the time. Where she's like, "Hey, you want to see a cool trick?" Um,
Yep.
I am going to ask you if you said everything you want to say. I'm going to ask you to put yourself back on mute just because we're getting a lot of feedback from your car
Oh,
in the
yeah, I'm so
background.
sorry. I'm going to pull over.
No, that's okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to let you know if you were done talking, I was going to put you back on mute.
Oh,
Um,
one other thing
yeah,
I'd say, with my father, we're trying to do, and I know I posted this a few times, but we're trying to do. He's writing a book, and hearing it from you might be helpful. We're trying to put pictures into ChatGPT and have it include those pictures in the layout. And I know it's not a layout program, and I don't think it can produce InDesign files. So those are
right.
just two things I thought I'd bring up.
Yeah, you're, and I don't know what you did, but the sound is so much better now. So whatever you just did, it fixed the sound. But the yeah, it is not a layout program, and in fact, when in the children's book competition from ChatGPT, it was very apparent that it was not a design program. But what I've found is, it's there's enough template software, whether it's Canva or InDesign or Microsoft Word, where you can take it and find a template and copy and paste that content in. It's just sometimes it's easier to do it the old-fashioned way, compared to trying to make AI solve all of the problems. Um, all of the kids' books that I've done for Kindle Direct Publishing um, ended up being taken out of ChatGPT and pasted into a template in Microsoft Word that I got from Kindle Direct Publishing. Now, ChatGPT told me that it could do it in the EPUB format. I'm like, great, let's do it. And it's like, actually, I was totally making that up.
Yeah.
Like, okay, well, let's go back to the original method. But if you go to like Kindle Direct Publishing or whatever publishing platform you're going on, chances are they have a template. Like, you want a 8x10 book that's a paperback, you can bring that down and download it for free and then just paste your content in. And that's just low fruit. It's the path of least resistance. But if you don't have a tool like that, then you can certainly ask the AI, what tool should I use for this? What's the best way to use this? I don't have InDesign skills. How do I do this without having ever published a book? And they'll say, oh, well, you could go to Google and do this, search template. So if that helps you, but yeah, I think to your point about talking to the smaller communities. I was at one of the things that we was at in Santa Fe last week when I was on vacation. We went to all this gallery hopping and saw these local artists and beautiful art out there. And I don't know how we got into the topic, but he asked me what I did. I said I was a software consultant, and this artist asked me, so what are your thoughts on AI? Like, oh, here we go. My wife's just kind of backing away slowly. She's like, oh God, I'll see you in an hour. And so, obviously led with creativity. And I really, it was an interesting conversation because she had been to 3 different talks on AI and they were all about the technical side, the PATE side of the math side, and nobody was talking about the creative side. And then I started showing her some of the artwork in the Look What I Made section, and she's like, "That's beautiful. They did that with AI." I'm like, uh huh. And then we had a nice long conversation about copyright infringement. But that's besides the point. But it still amazes me how, like, we're part of this exclusive club that we're in early. We're so early on this that the rest of the world is just starting to wake up to the possibility as these models get better and better. And I think the Studio Ghibli moment, where everybody started replicating the particular imagery on once ChatGPT image generation got good, and that model, that was the first time I had seen the average people that were from outside of our circle start talking about AI in ways that was like, oh, this is actually AI generated. And now with VO3, we're seeing that where, people it's AI generated content is becoming more and more mainstream, and it's becoming the new meme culture to an extent, which is fascinating to me that it's starting to catch on, because things always start as gamification, and then it becomes real. Like Xbox is a perfect example of that. Xbox, they were, they hit it big. They never thought they released it as a gaming platform with the motion control, and then people are like, well, you could do robotic surgeries with this technology, right? And they're like, really? We hadn't even thought about that. So I think that
And
it's going to
get
be
points.
fascinating. I think it's going to be fascinating to see the evolution, because we're going to remember the six-finger janky spaghetti eating Will Smiths of the world, and then in 2 years we're going to see how far it's come and realize that we are in the pole position to be able to be the shepherds of the people who are just starting to figure it out. Yeah, Jeannie.
Yeah, that's very true. That reminds me that I think last night ChatGPT had an update, and it includes a connector integration ability with HeyGen, I think. And then also Canva.
Yeah, I had heard about
It was
Canva. I
in the
didn't hear about
salon. Yeah.
ChatGPT.
Well, I'm looking for it in ChatGPT, and I'm not quite getting there, but it should connect as well. So I'm kind of working on that. And I'm working on figuring out Canva and creating a course on post-labor economics in Canva using AI, linking back to ChatGPT and to HeyGen. So we'll see if that works. It kind of feels like it's going to work, but I'm still trying to figure that out. But I was going to add to that book building, and I know, Claire, you just created a book for the contest. And I've been creating books in actually working in Word. So I build the book in Word by inserting a table, so I can put the text where I think I want it and the images where I think I want it. And then I have a layout to then go take to Kindle. But it at least gives you the start of the visual that way. So if that helps.
Yeah, that's good. And we've temporarily swapped Gwen for Gareth, so the G's are tapping in and out. There we are. Okay, Gwen's back in. Jeannie, I don't know if you want to repeat that last bit that you just said, because Gwen had dropped off and dropped back on right in the middle of that.
Okay, so I've been working on 3 books. And so I'm working on the books and bringing my text and my visual images into Word in an Excel table format, because I've done a lot of work in my background, you know, in my career working between Microsoft parts. And it works out well for me because I know kind of where I want to put that text and where I want to put the image, and then also how I want to do the background. For example, this book I'm working on now, I'm having some trouble with the visuals, so I'm looking forward to the Midjourney course with Lee, so that I can bump up the visuals on the book that I'm working on. But at least I have a nice background and my characters and my text, and I'm almost there for the first book in the series. And that works out well for me because they're all right. There are templates that you can take your information up to, and then you set your information in there according to their template, and it looks like their template, right? But if you have a different vision than that, then you can actually step back to the more archaic softwares that we've used in the past and proceed in the same way you may have 2 years ago.
I'd be interested in hearing more from you, Jeannie, not now maybe, but offline, about your point about setting up tables in Microsoft Word so that then you could move the text or the image around. That sounds really like that would be really helpful for me.
Oh, I would love to share that. And I think what I'll try to do is finish that first book in the series tomorrow and send it to copyright, because I do that before I start, showing it off. And then, I'd love to show you what I've been working on, and then also pick your brain.
So thank you for sharing, Jeannie. So my daughter jumped in here. Say hi. And so
Hi.
she wanted to color a picture tonight. So what I did was I took a picture of her, uploaded it to ChatGPT, and said, "Give me a coloring page of her, but as a teenager at a school dance." And so that's what it came up with, and then she colored it. And
She
then
looks
yeah,
like a
beautiful.
colored two of them.
She looks like a princess.
They said, "You look like a princess."
That's really special. Good job.
Oops. Okay, go play.
That's
Bye.
actually a life hack that I'm going to steal and use with the seniors. Upload a
There you
picture.
go.
Let's make a coloring page. Bam.
Yeah, what a great idea.
Yeah.
A picture and turn it into them at the school dance when they were in high school.
I wonder if they could do it as a puzzle. I bet it would I bet you could do it as a puzzle layout and then cut it out and have them do the puzzle.
Or send it to a jigsaw puzzle company.
Yeah, there is a company that Shutterfly, you can do that. You can upload an image and have it, make a puzzle of the image.
And you can do it yourself in Redbubble.
Redbubble?
Redbubble.
Oh, here's thing number 2.
Thing number 2.
The mail truck.
Yes.
That's funny.
There he is.
This is my singer-song. Yeah, this is our singer-songwriter. He's the producer, the executive producer of Paradise Puppy and other songs. My daughter was walking through the house the other day humming, and she's like, "I got your song stuck in my head that you made." They're catchy. Suno is catchy. You say hi? They enjoyed listening to your song. Paradise Puppy. I put it up there for them to listen to, and your playground song.
You like those songs?
They do.
Can we hear a song?
They're posted in either the Life Hacks history or in Irregulars.
Well, you just gave me a talking point for my dad. I just told him that we could create a song, and it's like, what?
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Yep.
What are you doing? Are you tired?
Your
Hey guys, I am trying to run this meeting, so let's go play somewhere not in Dad's office.
I wanted to add something to what you were saying a few minutes ago, Brandon. You were talking about EPUB that, ChatGPT was like, oh yeah. One of the things that I've slowly been learning to do is when ChatGPT suggests to me that, like, would you like me to do this or this? I will frequently now say things to them like, to ChatGPT, like, you can be overly optimistic sometimes about what you're capable of doing. When you suggest that you could do, like, take this form and put it into Canva and fix, is that actually something you can do? Or is that just something that you hope one day you'll be able to? Because I know you'll be able to one day, but I'm not sure that's
Aspirational.
something you can do now. It's aspirational, yeah. Yeah, and that actually helps because it's frustrating when it says it's doing it. And then it was like, yes, I'll have it ready in 7 working days. That doesn't sound right.
It's been doing that a lot to me too. And I'm like, no, I need it right now. All right. So Dad has a question,
Yeah.
if you don't mind.
I love how he always sits behind you like the like.
She's the front person for this operation.
Yeah.
Hi, Dad.
I'm a little bit different than everybody else. I'm a stamp collector.
Yeah.
Me too.
I collect covers, actually.
Okay.
I asked ChatGPT, with Gwen's help, I want to make a philatelic exhibit that will be shown at stamp shows. And I gave it the criteria. It went ahead and created an outline for about a 72-page exhibit. Now, it suggested images that should be put into the exhibit. I have images on my computer, and I'd like to know, how do I get them from my computer into my exhibit? Or do I have to take the exhibit text and put it in InDesign and then use InDesign to get the images in?
I'm sorry. I think he missed part of our conversation earlier about, similar question to the book.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I think that's what.
No worries. No worries. No. So yeah. So sometimes, like what we were saying earlier, and it might have just been when you were jumping out of the car and into the house, is that ChatGPT will tell you that it's a great designer, but it in practice it's a little challenging. So what we find helpful is sometimes just dropping it in PowerPoint or dropping it in like Microsoft Word, like Jeannie does, or just printing out the pictures and going to CVS and buying a poster board and some tape. Sometimes the answer doesn't always have to be AI. We can use AI to help inform that conversation along the way. And there are other tools that are better suited for design, like Gwen mentioned InDesign. I know there's folks that swear by Canva. I'm a Microsoft Word junkie, so to each their own. But I think that it might be easier to find a template on the internet of the thing that you're trying to create and copy and paste the stuff into there and then send that to a printer versus trying to make ChatGPT do all of the work.
Well, all I want is, can I load my images into ChatGPT, which would then be the outline for the exhibit that it has created. I like the exhibit it created.
Yeah. So what it's going to try to do, so there's a couple of different ways. If you just give the images, it'll try to regenerate the images and it'll mess them all up. But if you give the images to it and say, can you generate a PDF or an image that incorporates these design elements, it could work, but that's not its intended purpose. It's kind of like going to Burger King and asking for filet mignon. Like they can try to make it, but it's not something that's on their menu. Jeannie, go for it. You're muted. There you go.
Yes, and I'm looking over here on Canva. There's a lot you can do over in Canva, including making books. But so let me just tell you my story from yesterday. I spent a couple of hours taking photos of my antique jewelry collection. So I have on my phone, so I have ChatGPT, and I take a photo. So you would do this with your stamps or what have you. So you take a photo and you upload it and you ask ChatGPT to tell you about it and what its value is. So it'll give you that information, and then you go to your next item. So you can do about 2 a minute. So I was trying to do them individually and not in a group format because I'm not trying to confuse it. And I was trying to get a table from it at the end of the project. So then I went through all of that with 30 items. And I asked it to produce a table, and it did. And I asked it to produce a table with the images in it, and it did.
Oh.
And the images were in color, just the way I gave it to ChatGPT.
Oh.
And I downloaded it. And then today I asked for it again, and it has forgotten.
Oh. Yeah. Yeah.
So it gave me a table with no images.
Yep. Yep. Or code interpreter expires. I'll get that where it says code interpreter is timed out.
So the answer is yes and no. You can send your images up into ChatGPT, but there is no guarantee it will keep it. It'll pretend it's gonna.
Yeah, but what I don't understand is how do I tell ChatGPT where my images are located on my hard drive?
So
No,
how do I
ChatGPT
get
is
the
not going to
link?
have. It's not going to link
Doesn't
it
do
directly
that.
to your hard drive. You would upload it through the chat widget. So there's a little
plus
upload
sign.
icon that you can send. You'd have to send your images to ChatGPT.
That's what we did with the plus sign.
Okay,
That's
Yeah.
what the plus sign is.
okay.
Thank you,
Gwen's got to
guys.
give me another
Yeah.
lesson.
Ah, Gwen, I saw you had a question about time cards.
Yes. So I have a friend. It's always a friend, right? But I do
Mhm.
have a friend who has
One friend.
I care. Oh, what a nice dad. Who has a caregiver who submits her time to her on WhatsApp.
Yes.
So 2 questions. One is, do you know if WhatsApp is part of the connector now with ChatGPT?
It's
Because
not, but WhatsApp does Meta AI. WhatsApp has
okay.
Meta AI built in.
So ultimately what she'd like to do is just have WhatsApp talk to the GPT or the AI and create the time card for the week so that she doesn't have to get involved and figure out a time card.
Yeah.
How's that for a life hack for caregivers?
I like it. There's probably already a service that does that because it's such a niche space, and there's so many people that have to fill out time cards. I'm just looking at the connectors on my screen here, and it's not
Not listed. I was
not
thinking
listed.
that it's an agent build, right? Probably.
Yeah, possibly. But I still think there's better. Honestly, you might be better off asking ChatGPT the question that you just asked
That's what I said.
because
Yeah.
it might give you like and this is a very dangerous territory for me as the person who won the Ask the Most Questions award in 8th grade, which is not an award you want to give an 8th grader because it's not socially equitable. But I turned it into my superpower, so joke's on them. Because if you ask enough questions of the AI, eventually you'll get some semblance of an answer. That being said, no, I would absolutely explain the situation to ChatGPT and say what is the best course of action, and there might be a way to do it through the API. Meta's AI might be able to handle it more eloquently. because it's baked into WhatsApp. You can just add Meta AI in the conversation. But
Has anyone used Meta AI? Because quite honestly, it's not even on my radar. I know that
oh yeah,
Zuckerberg's doing all that stuff, but no one ever talks about Meta AI. So
yeah. I use it here and there. It's not my go-to, but I'll tell you where Meta AI comes in handy
yeah.
is a lot of the well, there's two things. One, Instagram avatars, which I'm a huge fan of that nobody else cares about. Um, but the we were on a 5-hour flight from New Mexico last week, and I wasn't going to pay Southwest the $8 for the internet, but they have WhatsApp for free. You could like text message on WhatsApp, and Meta AI is in WhatsApp now. So you can activate free messaging, and then you could just talk to Meta AI, and it works just like ChatGPT. It's just a conversation with their own large language model, and it has image generation capabilities. It has voice. It has all of the hallmarks of what you would come to expect from a Gemini or ChatGPT. It's just baked into your favorite Meta products. Jeannie.
Hi, it's me again. Do you have Canva, Gwen? They have sheets. So they have expense tracker sheets, and you can add
Yes.
links. So you could use that as a timesheet tracker, and you can add the link to the actual time. If she has it on a time card, you can snap a picture of it and add the link to the sheet.
So maybe snap a picture of the WhatsApp, her message in WhatsApp.
Yeah.
So basically she's just texting her a message. So if you take a picture of that, it'll go right into the time card.
You can put it well, it says add the link. So when I click on add a link, I should be able to link up to something. It says link. Is it hot?
Yeah, so screenshotting and uploading to any of the models, especially if you have a custom. It sounds like a job for a custom GPT, honestly. If you have I'm going to upload a screenshot of a time thing. Your job is to turn it into a Google Doc sheet that is. So you can do it in Gemini. They have gems. In ChatGPT, they have custom GPTs. Meta is Instagram avatars. But if you just take a screenshot of it, all of them have vision now, so you can just upload that image. If you were looking for a way to do it programmatically, you could go over to, and really wanted to geek out, you could go over to N8N and say, every time so-and-so sends me a message on WhatsApp, trigger this automation and have my AI agent go out and, add it to the time card database. But that's like overkill.
Yeah. No, you know what? I like that idea. We could create a custom GPT dedicated to the time card and say every time I send you a screenshot, add to the time card, right?
Yeah.
But make sure you test it and it remembers it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
So
if it doesn't?
Actually, let me hang on. Let me put on. Where did I put my lovable ambassador hat? That's a web app. That's what that is. You could go to Lovable and connect with Supabase, which is a databasing tool,
Okay.
and say, it's prompt. I don't know if you've played with Lovable, but it's essentially vibe coding a website, that you can tell it, what do you want to build, and you say, I want to build a web app that takes a screenshot of a WhatsApp conversation and adds the content to a time card and saves that in a database. And then it will probably generate a beautiful web interface that says, time card uploader with a little upload button right in the middle of the screen. And then you connect it to Supabase, which you can have up to 2 projects for free on Supabase. Supabase is just a databasing tool. And it'll give you all the instructions on how to set it up and how to connect it and everything. And then when you upload it, it will format it and then add it to the database as a database record. And then you could just query the database or say view my time cards and have it build a second page where it's got the time cards, the history of the time cards.
Oh, I love it.
And
Okay.
then you can keep working on it and put it behind a paywall and call it QuickBooks.
You're
Quicker
so
books.
funny. Quicker time books.
Yes.
But maybe assign a
Vibe books.
a person ID number that is
Yeah.
not related to anything except the super base,
Yeah.
right? So
Person
that
ID.
you don't
So in
have
other words,
any
don't put John
personal
Smith.
identifiers.
Yeah. Yeah. You could just say their employee ID is 12345, and so you'd
Yeah.
have the time card for one in person 12345.
An identifier. I gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. See, life hacks. We hacked. We came up with an idea here. Thank you.
Yeah. No problem.
We're gonna make
Yeah.
it work.
And the other thing that I've been doing lately that has become my I don't know go-to for casual research is Claire, you mentioned you haven't played around with Gemini a lot. I know we've played around with Notebook LM on the Learning Lab. Gemini, with now having both deep research and audio overviews inside of Gemini, for me, it's a game changer. Because what I'll do is if I want to learn something, so real world example, I think I shared either 1 or 2 times ago on this that ChatGPT told me my face looked a little flush and I should take my blood pressure, and my blood pressure was high. And so I'm unabashedly addicted to a 5-hour energy. I take 2 a day. I've taken 2 a day for the past probably 3 or 4 years. So much so that my birthday cake for my 40th birthday was a giant bottle of 5-hour energy, which I took a picture of on Twitter, and then they sent me some more free 5-hour energy for free, so that worked. But I was starting to be a little bit concerned that, because I've always told myself it's just coffee and B12. That's all it really is. Like, it's not anything dangerous. It's people get addicted on coffee all the time. Nobody dies. Nobody has, there's not an epidemic of high blood pressure.
Yeah.
But I was like, I wonder. I just wonder, because I had enough friends tell me, like, hey, that stuff's not really great for you. Friends I trust. So not enough to stop, but I trust them enough to listen, inquire further. And so I did my own research, and what I did was I was driving to pick up the kids from camp. And so before I left, it's about a 10-minute drive. Before I left to go to get the kids from camp, I prompted Gemini. In deep research mode, I said, hey, I'm addicted to 5-hour energy. I don't think it's that much worse than coffee, but my blood pressure is a little high. What do you think? Is is there a correlation here, or do I just, is it completely unrelated? Hit send, went to pick up the kids. By the time I closed out of Gemini, I have the app on my phone. By the time I was in the carpool pickup line, I had a little Gemini notification that says your deep research report is ready. And so I opened it back up, and it's got like a 56-page report about all of this, all of this. See, we start talking about Gemini, and we summon Pate into the group. Hi, Pate.
Hello.
We're just talking about Google Gemini Deep Research with audio overviews. And I had sent it on a discovery mission while I was on my way to pick up my kids from school. I had to do deep research on whether there is any correlation between my addiction to 5-hour energy and my recent issues with high blood pressure. And so I prompted it before I left. By the time I got to the carpool pickup line, I had a little icon, a little notification from Gemini that my research was complete. And I opened it up, and it's like 56 pages of, study and research. I'm like, I don't have time for this. So I generated an audio overview while I was driving home. And by the time I got home, I had an audio overview. So after I got the kids their snack and they went off to play, I popped on my headset and I listened to the 15-minute or 10-minute or however long it was audio overview. And it was like, yeah, there's a correlation. You should probably switch to coffee. That being said, the amount of effort that went into generating that 10-minute podcast for me was like 2 clicks. But for the language model, it was, it surveyed 300 websites, it generated a 56-page report, it summarized that content into a 10-minute podcast. I'm like, this is how I'm going to get all of my research done now, because I'm curious mind. I am always curious about learning new things, and having the ability to find that information, have the AI go and do that deep research asynchronously while I am doing something else, come back to, and a half hour later, I have a personal podcast about how to get a kid to go to sleep at his normal bedtime. That to me is worth the, even though it's available on the free, it's worth the Gemini Pro subscription for me to be able to hack and get that amount of information out of the internet in a way that is curated specifically to me.
Yeah, I've been really pleased with the deep research from Gemini specifically, compared to the other offerings. Like, I kind of did a survey of the same type. It was because it's relevant to my work, but kind of the same like technical research question, to like 3 or 4 models, and the only one that was even remotely like good was Gemini's. The other ones were very hand wavy, or it was just structured weirdly, or there's always just something to it. But yeah, so I've been impressed with it. I haven't messed with the audio too much, but yeah, I've liked it.
Okay, you just got a convert here. That's all. Do we have that? Do we get that free?
Yeah, I'm the worst person to know like what's available to anybody. I have like no clue anymore what. I think, yeah, Brandon's probably one of the biggest Google supporters, for knowing like what's what these days, or who has access to what.
Yeah, I think deep research, at least in a limited capacity, is free to users. Just if you're not sure, just go to gemini.google.com and see if you've got an icon for deep research. But even if you don't, having the ability to get that research out, or just get that data out and then taking it somewhere else where you can analyze it is, time saved.
Well, you can also, what I do is, well, I'll take the resulting like document and then re-ingest it into, this is what I mentioned in the live last night, of like re-ingesting it into a Gemini canvas to create a like interactive component of it, or either depending on the data, but basically like turn certain things into graphs, or some sort of interactive visualization of the like model, or something like that.
Yeah, I haven't had a lot of time to play with the Canvas multimodality feature. But since you're here, I will share one last piece before we go, because this was my Lovable over the weekend had a free hackathon where they made Gemini unlimited free. It was sponsored by Google, and Claude, Anthropic, and ChatGPT, OpenAI. But they basically gave you free reign to vibe code whatever the heck you wanted.
Cool.
And so I took that opportunity to, as I shift my tabs around here, I was traveling back from my vacation, and so I didn't think I'd have time to participate. But what do you know? My flight got delayed. I was on a 2-hour delay at our layover. So I'm like, why not build a web app while we do this? So I used Gemini to code in this website, persontopdf.com. And what it does is it takes a YouTube video or an uploaded like video from your phone, and it uses Gemini's multimodal API to analyze the video and generate an instruction manual of how to do the thing that's being demonstrated in the video. And so as a test, what I gave it was I gave it a 5-minute video. We went and had dinner at a hibachi restaurant for Father's Day, and I took a video of the guy doing hibachi. And no context, he wasn't explaining, he was just doing his thing. And I gave it that 5-minute video, and within 3 minutes, I had this PDF that talks about everything from preparing the grill. It called out this lesson uses sliced onions, mushrooms, and zucchini, the fire show, adding the rice. Like, it caught everything that he did, and then also put in some disclaimers about it being, you know, safety is paramount and exact ingredients. But like, you know, to take something like that and translate it into, you know, a PDF that you could then use, it's a lot of fun. And the you know, person2pdf.com is a website that it's free right now because Gemini's very generous with what they charge. So the multimodal is not. So if you wanted to try this, you can go and sign up for a free account. I use Supabase for the background to store all your lessons. And so whether you have a video or you have a YouTube link, it'll convert it into a PDF step-by-step guide from media to manual in 3 simple steps, vibe coded in 2 hours for free.
Did it teach you how to get the flaming shrimp in your pocket? Because that's always been my favorite part of a hibachi show.
Yeah, that's where we need to take it into Notebook LM and ask the podcast folks.
Okay. Okay.
The mark my words, Pate. Those 2 are going to be the first artificially generated presenters to win an Emmy, or to win some sort of award. I don't know. Like, I have been begging anybody at NPR they have too much journalistic integrity to do it yet, because like, we have people for that. But I could definitely see the Notebook LM audio overview podcasters, the man and the woman, doing digital exclusive content on NPR's website. Like, all the stories that they didn't have time to get to for the week, they could kind of dub them NPR journalists by proxy, and have a nice little, because it sounds just like an NPR broadcast when you listen to them. So one of these days, NPR will listen to me, but until then, we have access to it. So, it's 8:30. Time flies when you're having fun, or if you're a frog, time's fun when you're having flies. But thanks for jumping on and being with us for this edition of Life Hacks. We're going to upload this recording, and stay tuned each week for the Hack of the Week. If you have any problems that you're trying to solve, post them in the space in the chat, and we can swarm and try to solve them. If you find yourself with any summer neat hacks for grilling or for keeping ticks away from your plants, please feel free to share that as well. And don't forget to tune into the next exciting edition of the AI Learning Lab coming up tonight in an hour and a half. We'll be back here in 2 weeks, July 2nd, probably hacking our way through Independence Day.
I did share my itinerary thing that I mentioned the other day in the chat.
Oh, excellent. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I want to take a look at that. What does it do?
You just click on it, and it's pretty apparent. It's just an itinerary that I made in Gemini, and then after, like I said, this is a decent itinerary for a week trip to Portland. I said turn it into like an interactive day-by-day web app that also features like a map, has different options for food and links to the various places.
That's cool. And so can you also, like, I've got kids or I've got seniors or
stuff like
that?
If you look on the last day, You don't have to. You can just also trust me. Yeah. The in the morning, so it says something about the Oregon Rail Heritage Center. So I have a 2-year-old son who loves trains, and originally this itinerary just kicked us out early Monday morning and said, "You're just going to leave." I said, "Oh, well, we can stay and do something." And I had Gemini knows my wife and I and my son, roughly based on some descriptors and stuff. And so it immediately said, "Oh, if you have like an hour, take Elliot, my son, to this train thing." And so it was updating it on the fly based on our interests and like tried to space out things of like high energy with like low energy and stuff to try to balance it out. So yeah, my wife just kind of looked at it and went, "Oh, yeah, that's good."
No, that's pretty cool. Now, can anyone use it? Because I don't see where I could go in and say, "Okay, let me do my trip."
So no, you would have to do that for your specific trip. This was just, it started off as just a Canvas doc. So in Gemini, clicking Canvas and saying, I just wanted an itinerary. Like that's all I was originally doing was just a normal itinerary doc. And then once I had the info, I was like, oh, this would be easier to digest in a different format. And so I just asked it to turn it into a web app and added like 2 or 3 little corrections here and there, but that was about it.
Neat. Really neat. Thank you.
Yep.
And hey, I'm going to be 4th of July weekend. We're taking a road trip to Canada. And so this gives me an idea maybe on when we meet on July 2nd, I can repeat that experience and get an itinerary for our trip and do that on the live Life Hacks Club.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And then, shoot, there was something else I wanted to mention. But it escaped me.
It's a great idea for conferences too, so that it could bring in what you want to attend at the conference, where to go for drinks or dinners afterward, who to network with, like really plan out your itinerary at a conference.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh,
yeah, exactly.
Who would be smart for you to meet, right? Because sometimes you go to a conference and it's like, oh, I showed up, but I didn't meet people. So it could suggest, hey, here's who you might want to talk to and talking points or something.
You jogged my memory, Gwen. When I was at Google I/O, they were demoing the new Canvas model, and the most impressive demo that I saw there was they literally had a doodle on a napkin that said, I want like a thing that can generate images based on drawings, and they literally sketched an app on the back of a napkin, took a picture of it, and Gemini zero shot, which means it just did it, the first try, generated an actual web app, kind of like a Claude artifact.
Yeah.
And it worked. It was based on a back of the napkin sketch, which I think somebody in here coined the term appkin. And but we're in a new world where you can just think something into existence.
Yeah.
It's really cool. So thanks for sharing that, Pate. Yep. Thanks for joining us. Shout out to Gwen's dad, hanging out in the background. We've given you a lot of homework for the next couple of weeks. Jeannie, always appreciate you jumping on here and spending your time with us. Dr. J, this club wouldn't exist without you running interference for me with Vicky and going to all the actual meetings that I don't have time to. So thank you for that, and yeah, we'll catch you back here in 2 weeks. Happy hacking.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Good to see you all.
Bye, guys.
Take
Thanks
care.
for coming. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.